Hi everybody, I'm Jared Pike. This is Shell Point Today for Wednesday, October 9th. On today's show, Pharmacy Director Joy Darnell gives us some answers about Medicare Part D. We'll also meet Bob Strong, who found a professional niche combining business and counseling. But first, a few heads up about creative groups meeting tomorrow. The Photo Club is resuming its meetings for the season, welcoming everyone who loves to take pictures. Bring a photo with you that portrays what I did this summer. Also, come with your ideas about field trips and other fun events to be planned throughout the year. The Photo Club meets tomorrow at 2:15 p.m. in the Manatee Room on the island. Also starting tomorrow are rehearsals for the Christmas Cantata, the brainchild of Ted and Ruth Rogers of Palm Acres. This original musical presentation takes place every year on Christmas Day in the Resident Activity Center. They need singers, musicians, and anyone else interested in spreading Christmas cheer that day. Come find out all about it tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. in the backstage area of the Village Church. You can also call Ted and Ruth at 466-5353. Now, a quick heads up about two fun events coming to the Grand Cypress Room in 2 weeks. The Nifty Thrifty Fashion Show showcases the best fashions from the community thrift store on both men and women. Sign up for your chance at great prizes as well. And also, we're hosting the Fall Dance in the Grand Cypress Room with the theme Wish Upon a Star. We'll provide the hors d'oeuvres, Billy Dean and Dawn will provide the tunes, and you provide the moves. The Nifty Thrifty Fashion Show is on Monday, October 21st, and the Wish Upon a Star Fall Dance is on Tuesday, October 22nd. To sign up, call the Island Service Desk at 454-2282 or the Woodland Service Desk at 454-2054. Now, tomorrow is the perfect opportunity to learn more about LifeQuest, our wellness initiative that encourages residents to focus on 6 different dimensions in their life: physical, emotional, spiritual, educational, community and social, and natural environment. And now we're offering an event where the entire LifeQuest staff team will be in one place, ready for your questions. It's the LifeQuest panel discussion, happening tomorrow at 1:15 p.m. in the Social Center on the island. Let's take a look at the LifeQuest staff team. Mary Franklin is our wellness manager, and she's been with the LifeQuest team from the very beginning. Melody Desolé is our volunteer coordinator and can place you with the volunteer opportunities to fit your needs. Carol Clark, nurse practitioner, has been involved with medical care at Shell Point for many years. Bev Chanley handles all the trips and outings, as well as the environmental aspects of Shell Point, like kayaks and gardens. Linda Jansen offers support from the Information Systems Department. Dr. Chris Vadalato heads up the counselors and psychologists of behavioral health. Michelle Smith is our fitness supervisor. Inga Bredahl supervises activities at all 3 assisted living facilities. Mary Moore offers support from the sales department. Rochelle Chernowski helps to communicate everything about LifeQuest. Terry Kolath manages the educational opportunities in the Shell Point Academy and also oversees the Pavilion Auxiliary. And Dawn Boren oversees all of resident life. This whole team will be together in one place, ready to answer your questions about all 6 dimensions of wellness. The LifeQuest panel discussion happens tomorrow at 1:15 p.m. in the Social Center on the island, and all are welcome. Now, what if you have more specific questions about, say, paying for your prescription drugs? Medicare Part D can be confusing. That's why we have an event coming up focusing specifically on that, from our pharmacy director, Joy Darnell. Our 2014 Medicare Part D update is Monday at 2 p.m. in the Grand Cypress Room. Here is a preview.
I'm Mary Franklin, here today with Joy Darnell from the pharmacy, and she is doing an important Health Connections program. It will take place on Monday, October 14th at 2 p.m. in the Grand Cypress Room, and it's the 2014 Medicare D update. I encourage you all to sign up and come to this program for the latest information. Joy, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You brought the book?
Yeah, this is a new book that just came out this week, and every one of our residents should have received this. This is from Medicare, and it's Medicare and You 2014. It has all the updates and information in it, and as soon as you get it, you need to flip to the back and see if your plan is still there and make sure what your new co-payments. But we're going to cover that in my program, where it's the things from last year versus the things from this year and all the changes.
So what is Medicare D? What does that mean?
Medicare D, it stands for Medicare drug coverage. And so the drug cover, this talks about the medication coverage.
Okay. So your presentation in October on the 14th is covering all the pharmaceutical. Mm-hmm. And then Joni Reagan has one on November 1st, which covers Medicare.
Right. And the supplements.
And the supplements and everything. So two different programs.
Two different programs, so you may need to attend both.
Okay. And you're going to compare 2013 to 2014.
Right. And the changes, increase in cost versus, and what the deductibles, co-payments, and all of that thing. That'll all be covered in my program.
How long does open enrollment last?
Okay. It's from October 15th until December 7th. Okay. So by midnight on December 7th, you have to have signed up for a plan, and all the plans start on January 1st.
Okay. Now you, being a pharmacist, can give out all the information, but you cannot make a decision for the resident.
That is correct. The resident must choose their own plan, mm-hmm. and they also have to sign up. We're not allowed by law to sign anyone up.
Okay. But the legacy department can help, correct?
Right. If someone can't use a computer or can't make a phone call and they need assistance, then the legacy does offer the service to be able to do that for them.
Okay. Well, what great information you can get on how Medicare D affects you right here at Shell Point, and also get all the information, and then if you need help, the legacy department can help you out as well. Grab your book, write down your questions, and then come to the meeting on Monday, October 14th at 2 p.m. in the Grand Cypress Room. It will be a packed house as usual, so please come. It is the 2014 Medicare D update. I'm Mary Franklin with Joy. Have a happy and healthy day.
Our next story is a perfect example of someone who makes the most out of his retirement years. In his working life, Bob Strong of Coquina had been a part of several successful companies, but found that many of their top executives had more communication needs and spiritual needs than they realized. So Bob started the Strong Leadership Group to minister to these company directors and their families. Even now, during his retirement at Shell Point, Bob counsels many top executives by telephone. Let's get to know Bob and Susan Strong.
Hello, I'm Willie Demrest, and I'm here with a very special couple from Minnesota, Bob and Susan Strong, and I'm so impressed with them. Bob, how did you get started in this? I mean, how old were you when you first started your first business, or how many businesses have you been involved in? I know it's many.
I credit probably my first job with having set the stage. As a farm kid in west central Illinois, at age 12, I signed up to detassel seed corn for the DeKalb Seed Corn Company. The next year, they made me foreman, and all of my crew were older than I was and bigger than I was and tougher than I was, so I learned in a hurry that you had to make people want to work rather than have to work. And from those skills, I believe that that's followed me in any business we've been in. I've had the most loyal employees you could ever hope to. And that kind of rewards comes from, I believe, treating these people as human beings, treating them as what they are. And they have innate value because they're a child of God. And I treat them that way, and they will do anything for you. As a business owner and talking to other business owners, I realize that it's lonely at the top. Many of these business owners seem to have a need of a listener, somebody who would listen, would talk, they could feel their ideas off of, especially a smaller business that didn't have the luxury of a board. And so some of the things we began doing started when we decided to form something called Strong Leadership Group in 1984. It was founded primarily to fill that need, in order to sit with a business owner. Some of the business owners we sat with an hour a week.
Now, is that to help them in management or in personal relationships or in increasing their business?
The fact is, you can't meet with a business owner an hour a week for years and not have this gradually gravitate over into family. One family in particular, I've met with 4 brothers, 4 sisters, both parents, 2 children, and it just grows that way.
So the strong group that you have, leadership group, that works with all kinds of businesses and personal relationships within the businesses, is that right? And now you're working with the CEOs and the top management people because of recognizing that loneliness at the top?
Some companies will bring me in. I will meet with all of their top managers, their vice presidents.
Right now you're meeting with 9 heads of company, 9 people in the company, vice presidents, etc. Each one of them an hour and a half a week.
How do you prepare for those?
He prepares and he prays.
I call it my P&P time. I've never felt I had anything to offer other than my faith. So my P&P time refers to preparation and prayer. I always review the notes. I spend an hour. I set aside an hour for every hour and a half session I have coming up, which means if I'm going to meet them at 6 a.m. at my office, I'm there at 5.
Even coming down here, a month's vacation, he couldn't pull himself away. They wouldn't let him pull away. He meets 1/2 to 1 hour with each one every day.
By
while
telephone?
We're here. By telephone while we're here.
I remember you sharing one story about how a company grew or didn't grow because the CEO or the president was so intimidating that nobody dared open their mouth in these board meetings or group meetings. Can you share a little of that?
We have one man, he's vice president of manufacturing for a certain company. And when I first met him, I thought, boy, this is not going anywhere. He had just a steely, hard look. And so I've worked with him every day. I said, warm up your face. And I'd tell him stories and get him, and finally he'd laugh and I'd hold it. You've got it. It's right there. Your eyes warmed up. And everyone in that company is talking about the new Jeff.
And how about other businesses that you've started and owned and ran and managed?
Well, the main business we operated in Minnesota was called Northland Industries, Inc., and we sold irrigation equipment to farmers and ranchers.
Center pivot.
Yes, it's called center pivot irrigation. It makes the big circles. Anyone that flies has seen the fields that are perfect circles on the ground. That business went very well. I used the airplane in that to get around. And
I was going to ask you how you used your airplane.
I'm a flying junkie. I've flown all my life. I'm a commercial pilot, and I'm certified with Angel Flight, carrying transplant patients and organs to places like Mayo Clinic, Iowa City, Milwaukee, wherever, to or from. I'm also certified with Wings of Mercy, which is a similar organization, and because of those connections and their dispatch system, I'm also certified as a first responder with Homeland Security, which means I can get in the air in 1 hour from the time I get a dispatch.
How did you find out about Shell Point? Are you connected somehow?
We heard about it through our church for 30 years, because we belong to an Alliance church. And we just thought, my, this is a wonderful place, but I don't know if we can ever afford to go here.
I pretty well wrote it off that we couldn't afford to be here, but I had another God thing. I had the privilege of being on the national board of the CNMA for a few years, and Peter Dyes, the president of Shell Point, was on that board, and he also reported about Shell Point. We saw the financials, and I would come back to the room often and tell Susan, I said, that man could run any corporation in the country and run it well. I was very impacted with that. And 2 years ago, May, I was giving him a ride to the Colorado Springs airport after a board meeting. And he kind of chided me. He said, Bob, I can't believe you've been Christian Missionary Alliance for 30 years and you've never seen Shell Point. And I said, well, we don't want to tease ourselves. We just never really felt we could afford it. And I'll never forget Peter's words. He said, you need to come down and make us tell you no. And we ended up here, and they showed us this one place, and the view is worth it all, but the people, and we just love our time here.
Well, thank you, Susan and Bob, for sharing that time and all your experiences with us. I'm thankful that you're all listening and tuning into Shell Point TV. This is Willie Demarest saying bye.
It's time now to cover all of today's happenings from Resort Services. Then stay tuned for your Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections.
Thank you for joining us today on Wednesday, October 9th. We are here giving the happenings for today. And I'm Leslie Brandt, and I'm here with Beth Chanley, and we are going to tell you what's going on today. At 7:45, we have the men's Bible study in the Osprey Room. At 9 o'clock, we have the Durasi Travel in the Egret Room on the island. And also at 9 o'clock, we have the Round Robin men's doubles tennis in the tennis courts. And lastly, at 9 o'clock, we have the watercolor group with Phil Hilton in the art studio. At 9:15 is the scrapbooking group in the Tarpon Room. At 10 o'clock is the ladies' Bible study in the Osprey Room. At 10:15, we have the model yacht sailing in the Commons Lake in the Woodlands. And at 11:30, we have the specifics in strength training and the health club in the islands. Now here's Bev to tell you what we have going on for this afternoon.
Thanks, Leslie. We're going to start out at 1 o'clock this afternoon with chess being played at the Library Lounge. 1:30 to 3:30, you'll find the model train room open for tours. Make sure you get a chance to go down and see the improvements they've made. At 1:45, we have balance and mobility training level 1 in the health club. We move to 2:30, where jazz and stuff will be gathering and playing in the Grand Cypress Room down at the Woodlands. At 3 o'clock, we have a Bible study in the community room of King's Crown. Also at 3 o'clock, we have Pilates Stretch. That'll be held in the health club. It's $5 per class, and no sign-up is required. Then our last 3 o'clock activity is Memory Care Group. That's being held on the 3rd floor craft room of King's Crown. You do need to sign up for that one. At 4 o'clock, we have Lily and Company. The jewelers will be here from Sanibel in the Egret room for their weekly jewelry service. At 4:30, you'll find the indoor bocce court set up down in the health club. So head on down there if you want to play some bocce. At 5:45, we have the church choir rehearsal in the church choir room at the Village Church. And then we round out our evening with prayer and praise with Andy Hawkins at the Village Church. Thank you so much for being with us today, and we'll see you right back here again tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Terry Koleth with your Academy information for Wednesday. At 9:15, the specifications for buying a new computer class continues in the Computer Teaching Center on the island. At 10 o'clock, our lomography class continues in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. At 1 o'clock, so you've got Windows 8, now what are you going to do with it, continues in the Computer Center at the Woodlands. At 1 o'clock, our Intermediate Bridge Session 1 continues in the Game Room of the Woodlands. And at 1 o'clock, Color, 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 continuing in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. At 1:45, Internet Prep School, Help and Support, will take place in the Computer Teaching Center of the island, and sign-up is required. We have some new classes tomorrow. One is Session 2 of Matisse and Picasso. Also an Apple iPad class, Apps, 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 with Bruce Findlay of Nautilus.
Menus for Wednesday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is beef stroganoff with buttered noodles and roasted beets. For dinner, the special is the pasta buffet for $8.95, and the soup of the day is lima bean. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Wednesday, enjoy a taco salad for $7.25. The dinner special is grilled shrimp for $8.25. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill on Wednesday are stuffed sole for $14.95 or veal piccata for $15.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, the senior pastor of the Village Church, and I'm here with John Stumbo. John is the newly elected president of the Christian and Missionary Alliance. So welcome, John.
Good to see you today, Andy.
Tell us a little bit about the expanse of the Christian and Missionary Alliance across the globe, because I understand, for instance, that the United States Church here is not the largest church.
No, by no means. I appreciate you bringing that up. There's 2,000 Alliance churches here in the United States, 40% of which are non-Anglo. 36 languages spoken in Alliance churches on any given Sunday in the United States. Then beyond the United States, you're correct, we're 10 times larger internationally than we are here in the States. And countries like the Philippines and Vietnam and Cote d'Ivoire, other countries having much larger national churches than the U.S. CMA does. But one of the beauties of what the CMA has done through the decades has been to establish autonomous local churches within the nations. So they have their own seminaries, they have their own governance structure, they're funded. We're no longer funding many of these national churches around the world. They are now fully self-supporting. So a truly indigenous local church has arisen in these nations, and that's what we love to see. The gospel of Jesus Christ coming into a culture and a people group, being owned by that people group, and then actually they start sending out missionaries themselves. So we've got Alliance churches in other countries, so we're now missionary sending churches.
Yeah, that's one of the most exciting things that really strike me about the Alliance. We often hear from people who are sort of critics of Christianity in general and missions in particular that it's kind of a colonial operation in which we're trying to impose some kind of a cultural structure. But the opposite has been the case with respect to our movement, the Christian and Missionary Alliance, as we've gone into other countries, that we really have established churches on their own, run by people. In fact, one of the most significant developments in our denomination has been the removal of missionaries from very successful fields to go to other fields that where we need them, because those indigenous churches have been so prolific and so successful.
We have, once in a while, and as you've alluded to, made hard decisions to say we're done with our work as Westerners in this country. The local church is now strong enough, and so to turn the church completely over into the hands of the nationals, and then reassign, when possible, those international workers to some of the least reached, least evangelized places on the globe. Because, Andy, it's still the reality that there are many places on the planet where the name of Jesus Christ is not known at all, or he's only known as some prophet and not known as the divine Son of God, the way of salvation. And so we have the privilege of getting into some very difficult regions now. Absolutely. Where it's frankly illegal for us to be in some of these places according to the laws of the land. But through creative access means we're able to learn the language, become part of the culture, and sensitively begin to share the gospel.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Now, of course, you're here because you've been recently elected president of this denomination, and that is the American church, the United States church, and that often, I would think, has its challenges. So as you approach this kind of ministry, what kinds of thoughts, fears, trepidations, excitements have crossed your mind in the last number of months?
When I got out of seminary a few decades ago, I realized, there's lots of great church families out there, various organizations in which I could serve. I don't need to just be in the Alliance because my family was from the Alliance, but I thought, I love the theology, the fact that we're centered on Christ. I love the missions emphasis that we do care about Acts 1:8, the whole world. And I've always liked the people. And so I'm this young 20-something guy, but I'm thinking every time I'm around some Alliance people, I've had good experiences, so why would I want to choose another family? So here now, decades later, I've been appointed the president. I'm humbled by that. I'm privileged by that. I'm thrilled by that, because now I get to be part of shaping what the next generation experiences as who is the Alliance, what do we value, what are the foundational things upon which we continue to build. And I'm glad that as I come in, I don't have to overturn decades of bad history. No, I enter into a great movement that has been well led by men and women of character through the decades. And so I want to, yes, there'll be some new vision, there'll be opportunity for some new thrusts or emphases, but I join a great progression of the work of God through this fabulous family.
Yeah. Now, we just spent some time in our local district conference, and you were a speaker on those occasions, several occasions in that conference, and I remember you telling us what the stipulated roles were for the president of the Christian and Missionary Alliance.
You're referring to my ministry description.
That's correct.
Yes. The first line of the ministry description says that the president is the spiritual leader and chief executive officer of the Christian Missionary Alliance. And I really take that word order seriously because I believe that those church fathers within our movement that wrote that document were serious about saying, first and foremost, we need spiritual leadership. Yes, we need that CEO, executive oversight. That's important, and I would seek to do that well. But first, before we're an organization, we are a gathering of people. And before we're some sort of entity that needs execution, pardon that word, we need to be spiritually led. Mm-hmm. And so I feel this assignment, this calling to be a spiritual leader, not qualified for that in and of myself, but that's where we depend upon God to make us that which we are not able to be.
I think all of us as pastors recognize that none of us are really qualified for the kind of ministry to which we're called, and it's only by His strength and His grace we can do that.
But we're to live worthy of the calling we've received.
Exactly right, exactly right. I want you to know that while we haven't had a chance to get acquainted very often in the past, it's been a delight and privilege to get to know you a little bit over the last number of days, and I can tell you that your spiritual ministry at our recent conference was a great blessing to me and an encouragement to me. And so not only can I see that you take that spiritual leadership responsibility seriously, but I believe you're gifted at doing that, and I think you'll be a great blessing to your church, which is really the pastors of the Christian and Missionary Alliance, sort of we're your congregation. And I very much appreciate that ministry that you've already had to me and to many others in this denomination.
Well, I thank you for that. And Andy, you need to know that I've been hearing reports all the way to Colorado Springs of the good things that God's doing here at the Village Church and throughout Shell Point Village, and that your participation in this has been very significant. You've been exceedingly well received.
Well, people have been very blessed and kind to us, and we just delight in the ministry here at the Village Church.
Good.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure to spend some time here with John Stumbo, our recently elected president of the Christian and Missionary Alliance, and we hope you'll join us soon at the Village Church or through Shell Point Television participating in our worship services. Hope to see you soon.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow as Mary Franklin tells us about next month's Festival of Heroes. We'll also travel to the Arctic with Clee Keeley of Periwinkle, who got very close to polar bears and has the video footage to prove it. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Wednesday, October 9th. I'm Jared Pike, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.